That's still one of my favorite intros. Yeah. That's like
It's such a calming intro.
it is and it isn't. The one thing that I love about that I don't think I've told you before is that you're there in the background playing consistently, lovely, sticking to the song, just like laying it out there all calm. And in comes Christopher with all these frills, trills, and like, nope, look over there. Nope, squirrel. Oh, there's a tree.
Yep.
And I absolutely love it because like when I listen to that song, that's how my brain works. Like it's so it's calming to me because it's like, yep, that's how my brain is all the time.
It's a very nice synergy between both classical and jazz.
It isn't it, and it's like that's my world. Like yeah, that's my world. The opposite ends of the spectrum at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And then here I am, flying from one end to the other, back and forth constantly. I guess that's why I just love it so much. So like I know you wanted to shorten it, but I ain't letting you. And I'll tell you why. Because first of all, it's perfect the way it was. Just the creativity it was. Secondly, I just saw a talk show the other day on YouTube, and they had a 30-minute intro.
How, yeah, what? What?
Yes, yes, I no longer have the longest intros on the internet. Okay, I do not because it was literally almost 30 minutes long. It was just this guy walking, they were playing music in the background, and it was like, we'll be live soon. And it went on for 30 minutes until they decided there was a big enough crowd there for them to actually speak. Like, and I don't even want to.
Oh, you're one
I
of
don't even want
those
to.
people.
Yeah, one of those people. Like, I don't even want to tell you what I thought about that. Like, oh really? Like, that's what I'm supposed to do? I'm supposed to just keep playing the intro until there's enough people here for me to pick up my mic and talk. Because to me, it's the opposite. Hey, Cassandra, it's good to see you.
Hey, Mr. C.
Because to me, it's the opposite. If I have something to say, I'll go be out here saying it whether they show up or not.
Exactly.
It's just, hey, Jen.
Yeah, Jen.
Jen's only law is to always grow up the chat. Well, there you go. And they look forward to it, Jen. So grow up away. Grow up away. Yeah.
Jin's law.
Jen's law. Yeah.
Yep. It actually sounds very official.
It does, doesn't it? It could be maybe
Mm.
that one. Yeah. Right, that
Write a
one.
whole book on it.
Somebody was joking with me in the chat because, like, I had been asking people for questions. Like,
Mm.
I only have a few, like, and they were very, like, uh, just casual kind of questions. But one of them was, "Why haven't you written the library laws? Like, where are the library laws?" And I'm like, "Oh gosh, like you don't want Rekkr and I to write the library laws."
The library laws.
Yeah,
That
the library laws. Yeah.
part of that book would be very hard to turn the pages on.
Har har har. Mrs. Cassandra, I know you just fell out of your chair. He did say that. He said that live on the internet. Yes, he did. He did you proud, didn't he, Mrs. Cassandra? He did you proud. Yes. All right, stop it. Just stop that right there. All right.
Well, I mean, no one said I was wrong.
No, no, can't say that. Not gonna say that. I'm not known to like come out here and just lie about it. No, I ain't gonna say that. But we're supposed to be talking about the 50th law. I know I set myself up with that one, actually. Yeah, what was I thinking? Well, no, this book, I'm forever going to be grateful and annoyed with you for suggesting this book. Yeah.
it it has definitely been an adventure, right? It's
It, 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 that is definitely a word for it because like there was a lot of self exploration. Like the book affected
mm,
me a lot more than I thought it would. Because I will admit, like when you first suggested it, I'm like, some rapper gonna get gangster on me, gonna teach some old lady how to do new trick. Ain't gonna happen. Like I just didn't think I would relate to it.
you're just gonna sit there and school me?
No, I was just gonna sit there and say, like, actually, if we're honest, not school you, but try to soften the message to be relatable to everybody so that, you know, because I did not think the message was going to be relatable. One of my concerns was that it would be misinterpreted. And s-
As it
all
as it I mean, it already has. The I
this
mean, even your
did
preconception of it is what it was
what
that it
everybody
was
was
gonna.
thinking. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And that was something that Robert Greene, who co-wrote this with 50 Cent, based it on 50 Cent. He wrote it, based it on 50 Cent's experience in the world, based on how he moved in the music industry and afterwards, and where he began from. Uh, it was totally misunderstood. Just like his first book, The 48th Law. Like Robert Greene is a strategist and a historian in um and just somebody who really pays attention to what's going on around him because when the 48th law came out, right, like that's the book before this one that this is kind of based on but in a smaller way. uh,
Yeah.
it, it was misinterpreted to be like a guidebook on how to manipulate people to get ahead in life, so to speak. I mean, I'm putting that mildly. They say much more direct and nasty things about it, but
Mm.
basically like a manipulation manual, but it's really not.
No. No, it's not. At least the 50th law, it really it really isn't at all a manipulation manual, and And I mean, we were talking before about the 48th law and what it actually is,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. In just that it's not it's not supposed to be prescriptive. It's not a how to. It's descriptive of what's going on around you so you recognize it and you're prepared for it and you can deal with it. Does that make any sense? Like, mm, I was
Yeah.
listening to some Robert Greene interviews. That's how this all came up. And because we were going to talk about what we're doing next, which is what we were going to do at the end of the stream, but now we're talking about it in the beginning because it does all relate. All the
Mm.
interviews that I listened to or that Robert Greene did about the 50th law all related back to the 48th law and his experience with that when it came out, of how it was misunderstood and how it's still misunderstood, to be some kind of directive on how to abuse and manipulate people. In Although it talks a lot about those techniques as the laws, it's about understanding that that's what's going on around you, because the reason he wrote it was, like, he was in Hollywood at the time, and he says, this is from one of his interviews, he said that he was recognizing that everybody was doing this stuff behind a mask, not owning up to it, not even acknowledging it, but manipulating and abusing people behind the scenes, behind a mask, while they're smiling to your face. And he found it so prevalent everywhere that he wanted people to recognize that it was going on so that they wouldn't pray victim to it, so that they had more control over dealing with it, because that's the premise of the whole book: recognizing the situation in controlling it for yourself. Conquer, like 50th law was about conquering fear, or about, you know not eliminating fear totally, but being able to control it in a way to your advantage and move through it, and
Almost like
recognize it. Yeah.
almost like learning how to fight.
Mhm.
You learn to fight so you don't have to.
Exactly. Exactly. And so I found that, for me, much more palpable, because now it's like, wow, I'm related to this book. It doesn't mean I'm a gangster. It doesn't mean I'm manipulative and controlling and this, that, and the other thing. Like, it I'm actually relating to it the way Robert Greene wanted me to. Eyes wide open, recognizing the patterns around the world and using it to overcome some of my own insecurities, in recognizing that a lot of people feel the same way that I do, about certain things.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Especially with some chapters were really hard to get through,
Absolutely.
because, I had to admit that, I'm a little too wishy-washy here, and I'm a little too stubborn there. It's just, you know,
Mhm.
that was one question that came up a lot, that came up, in my DMs. They wanted to know what was your favorite chapter and what was your least favorite chapter.
Oh, well, I'd have to say my favorite chapter was probably chapter 8, which is respect the process. Um, I I really liked it because it sort of um uh hit home the importance of not so much like um not so much having focusing on your wider goal, or like
Mm-hmm.
um being uh, being overly focused on the end result that you're after, but actually becoming just as fascinated with the little components that actually makes up the bigger concept that you might be going for, the bigger um yeah, what the final product actually is, which generally with most things in life, um something a final goal is made up of many, many little goals.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the hardest things to do is not just, I mean, breaking it down is one thing, but enjoying the bits that are broken down.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, yeah, just having that same passion for, say, say you want to learn an instrument. That's that's a wider goal. You want to be able to play an instrument really well,
Mm-hmm.
but that's also made up of a bunch of little tiny goals depending on the
Right.
instrument you play. Like for me with the guitar, being able to fret the strings easy enough,
Mm-hmm.
being accurate, being clean, bringing out a clean tone, um, and then that goes into multiple little things, and it's and I like the fact that it sort of reminds you that like there are it's not just like it's not just these the examples, especially in the book, for instance, of, say, for instance, Isaac Newton.
Mm-hmm.
um what got him into the situation that he was in was that there was the bubonic plague, and he had like 20 something months of isolation that he essentially spent just studying.
Yes, sitting at a tree, staring into space. Sitting at the
Yeah.
base of a tree, staring into space, and
Yep.
that's where his theories started to come from. And
Yep.
then he started expanding on them one after the other, and yeah, that was eye opening too. Like
Yeah.
I had not
Or or
read that into that.
Michelangelo is another
Hmm.
excellent example because he he is known as one of the greatest painters to ever grace the earth,
And
and it goes over basically how he became obsessed with not just the end result of these paintings, but actually
all the detail,
all the
his study
details,
of the
studying
human body,
anatomy.
his study
Yeah,
of the human body and anatomy. Did you know that his drawings on anatomy are still used to this day in the studies of medicine?
I'm not surprised.
They are so accurate, and like even like I'm serious, like because I took medical terminology, and we were constantly looking at his drawings on everything, the way he dissected things and took it right down to the smallest part. His study of anatomy was impeccable. It is
Mm,
it's where it's still used to this day. So like, but that's how far he took his art, and that helped him in his sculpture, that helped him in his painting, right? He
yeah.
just um but taking it, to other areas in just as well in that detail. I could see why that's your favorite, your favorite chapter. Before we get to your least favorite chapter, I'll just say my favorite chapter was, as far as being a favorite, because it taught me the most. Like,
Mm,
I think about it the most. So it's not like a favorite, because gosh, was it uncomfortable. And
mm,
I want to say it's like it's the one that actually, when I say favorite, it's favorite's not even the word. It's just the one that sticks out the most to me, because it took me a while to get through it. But when I got through it, I was happy about it, because I actually felt growth, and I felt like I learned something, and I actually was benefiting from that chapter the most. And it's chapter five,
yeah.
the one about when to be aggressive and when not,
Mm,
like how to be aggressive and how to be unapologetic for our strength in certain areas. Um, because I come from a different generation, and being a woman
mm.
and being in the business world, it was always a fine balance. Like, you got labeled as too much or too little all the time. You weren't allowed to just
Very
be
easily, yeah.
right. And so society pushes back on people that are ambitious, successful, or aggressive. They push back that that's a bad thing. Like
Yeah.
it's something that you shouldn't want, you shouldn't do. Like don't be labeled that, in coming
Mm.
from a business world, which actually you had to be that way, but you weren't supposed to let anybody know about it. Like especially if you were a woman, you were constantly felt like you were wearing a mask, you know.
Mm.
So like I felt like I had to be twice as good all the time, and that meant a lot more study, a lot more aggression, a lot more ambition. I had to try harder. I had to want it more. Um, but now I feel like, well, that's all acceptable. Like I was just doing what needed to be done. In that there's not really a bad thing about it. Like I don't need to apologize for if I walk into a room, that room changes. Like that's just me. Like, get over it.
Yeah, exactly.
like how am I supposed to change that? Like it's not my it
It's not
I
your
don't
place.
exactly. It's another word. I
Mm.
want the world to be comfortable with me, right? But it's
Of
not my
course.
job to make sure that they are. Like we're all
No.
responsible, like for that kind of stuff, and that made me feel better because, like,
Mm.
you know, uh, you want to accomplish things and everything, and you don't want to be told later that like that's just wrong. Like you shouldn't want more. You shouldn't like be going for this. Like why can't you just be satisfied with this? It, because I'm not often, you know, I'm not often satisfied with the way things are. Like I always think like, why does it have to be that way? Why can't I change it and get better? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I've never
exactly.
been that. I've never been that one to say everything's just fine the way it is. Like I'm just not, and it made me more comfortable in how I'm moving in the world, like so to speak. It didn't give me grace to be mean or abusive or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about. It just reaffirmed that some of the ways I had to move were necessary, and that it's just society. Society doesn't want people to recognize their own personal power. It wants them to feel bad about ambition and want more, because the masses are easily controlled when they're satisfied or they think it's not possible. Does that make any sense? Like
Yeah.
because people in general, the masses, and I mean all of us like together, are much more easy to keep us all in control if we're not all striving for the top at the same time. It's so it's almost like they put that down on us, that that's a bad thing to want more, because there's only so much room up there. And apparently the people that are up there, they want to keep it all to themselves. It's like,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean? So like I hate to sound like a conspiracist about it, but like that's actually how I see it. That these things are all stacked against us on purpose, a lot of the time, because there's not that much room up there.
I I do think in a way that there is absolutely a very good possibility that
Hmm.
um even if it's unintentional, that this idea that we're not meant to be ambitious,
Hmm.
that being a being driven, or being yeah, being driven or ambitious is a character flaw.
Uh-huh.
I I agree. I think that there is a it is likely that, mm,
And it's weird
pe
because all along, didn't it sit weird with you? Like it's an oxymoron? Because here they
yeah,
are telling you, like, you shouldn't be like that. Like, and they frown upon it if you move like that or you act like that. And yet, when you hear all the stories of the most successful people in the world, what were they? Ambitious,
ambitious.
didn't take no for an answer, always put
Mhm.
their goals first, did what they had to do to accomplish what they had to accomplish, and made no apologies for it. So, if that is what most of the successful people in the world are doing, then why is society trying so hard to keep us from doing it and making it like it's a bad thing? It's like
Mm,
an oxymoron. It's like big shrimp. It just don't make sense.
exactly.
One thing just doesn't make the other. And thank you very much, Mrs. Cassandra. She said I came a long way from that. And I think she's talking about letting other people's opinion of me hold me back from
Mm,
who I am and worrying about, like, how they going to feel about stuff. Because in the long run, it's not as important as how I feel about it. Um,
exactly.
and I'm not trying to be selfish and act like, I'm all that, whatever. I mean that when it comes to our not letting outside opinions of the world hurt us in a way that are holding us back from achieving what we want to achieve. Or letting
Yeah,
people say, like, why would you bother doing that? Or like, sure, yeah, you're going to be successful at that, whoa, whatever. Like, not, that kind of stuff. Like, we can't be a friend to everybody. Okay, we have to recognize
mm,
who's actually a friend of support and actually wants us to do what makes us happy and achieve what makes us happy, or the friend that is just like the one that you're really around just to make them feel better. And like when you're doing
exactly.
bad, they feel great, or like they got to tear down everything you accomplish because they haven't done it, Like there are
Mm,
people in the world like, and unfortunately, I was surrounded by a lot of people like that. That you won't see them anymore. Like, I'm not telling you where I buried the bodies. Like, no, no. I do true crime for a reason.
very well studied.
I'm well studied on the subject. But yeah, it's just like, people fall away from you when you're moving forward, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like people need
Yeah,
to be where they're comfortable, and I get that.
exactly.
Oh, and she said, "Oh, this is good. Thank you, Mrs. She came a long way with dealing with how society was with women. It still can be today. Women are looked down upon in some. Yes, they are. And even
Hmm.
in I will say that in sorry record, this is not directed at you. Everybody knows I'm not a man hater, right? Like I don't want to hear anything in my DMs about these because I'm not. Okay, I am definitely not one of that. No matter what you say, but I do recognize that even on this platform, it is very male dominated. Almost all the successful guys are like way over the top. Like it is
Oh,
very
absolutely.
difficult to be a woman with an opinion out here and not be called a B or a C or dumb or like, what the heck do you know? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's challenging. So apparently they meet somebody who can actually use words appropriately in any scenario and actually can use my humor to dismantle some of the actual grift I have to deal with on a daily basis. I mean, I have worked with some of the biggest, in my opinion, misogynists of this era,
Hmm.
face to face, and survived. Um, because like you got to know when to pick your battles. You know what I mean? And it's just like I mean, I
And
ain't gonna I ain't gonna let anybody get the best of me publicly like that, but I'm definitely not gonna go toe to toe over an issue when you can't change people. Like that's the biggest thing I learned. You can't change people. I can only change how I deal with it.
exactly. And it takes a lot of courage to be able to work with people who um you are in opposition to. And
True, true, but I always want to hear, like me, I'm curious, and I don't want to feel like I know everything. Although I'll admit I probably know a lot, but I don't know everything, obviously. And I want to hear the other side of every story. I want to hear the other side of every argument. Because number one, I truly believe that enforces within ourselves our own beliefs in what we think we
absolutely.
know, and then it also makes us understand where the other side is coming from because there is always a place in the middle for all of it. I don't care what the issue is, the argument, the conversation, the relationship. There is always a place in the middle where you all can meet. In the goal is to find that, you know. In one of the most frustrating things in 2025 for me is the polarization of our society right now. How things are black and white and up and down and red and blue and yes and no instead of anything in the middle. I want to hear more maybes. You know, I want to see more chartreuse, in purple. Like,
Well,
and
I to to reference back to the book, it is. I mean, it's one of the chapters, chapter 7. Know your environment from the inside and out. To be able to know your environment, um, I and that can easily translate to know your argument inside and out, and that absolutely does mean knowing, and to an extent being able to level with the opposing argument, and actually being able to um see the argument from their side and go, hang on a minute, they have a point there. I don't agree with it, but there is a point there.
Yeah.
And that that is that's something that is 100% getting lost.
Mm-hmm.
It,
I
it's
totally.
really sad and disheartening
Mm-hmm.
to see how ready a large group of people who are really, when you think about it, most of them are just the vocal minority, but
Mm-hmm.
they're causing enough trouble that even even sitting down with someone who might be on the opposite side can be seen as essentially a thought crime.
It's been a long time since I heard that term, a thought crime, but you're absolutely right. Um, it is.
W- It, we the something that I can't remember where I read it, but I remember reading something about how years ago it used to be encouraged uh, that politicians and stuff would actively, like, go out and confront their opponents, even out on the street, in
Mhm.
debate. And it's like, where has that gone? And not, and I don't mean like just going out and yelling at them, like what
No,
often
no
happens
conversation.
nowadays, but
No
like,
conversation, no questions. Yeah,
yeah, like actually having a constructive debate between two
they don't.
oppositions.
They don't actually exist anymore because, like, even when we have our political debates, when it's the presidential campaign or we're doing, governor races and stuff like that, the debates just turn into smear campaigns
How
and
many people?
the pointing of fingers. Nobody actually answers the questions
Yeah,
anymore. Like,
let's be honest. How many people actually even believe that anything anything in there isn't, at least to some extent, predetermined or pre-written? If
well,
the
we
whole
did
thing
hear a lot
sounds,
about that in the presidential campaigns, that the questions had to be pre-screened by both
yeah,
campaigns. And they weren't going to talk about certain issues. And I'm like, what's the purpose of a debate if you won't talk about certain issues? What is it you think? Like, so the people aren't allowed to ask questions. Like, we have to predetermine. So why don't you just call it a campaign speech then?
yeah,
Because that's actually what you just turned this debate into. It's not like answering questions that anybody wants the
it's
answers on, or
preaching.
comparing policies and stuff like that. It's actually just a campaign speech on both sides, and pointing of fingers, and like, who gets to insult the other one louder, no better.
It
You know,
is. It
it's
is.
really disheartening, and I think I think, it might be a little bit off topic, but I really do think it's definitely what is discouraging young people from getting involved in politics anymore, because politics isn't even politics anymore. Like, it's not
No.
what you read in the books, it's not what you see from history. Like, you look at it now and you're just like, it's freaking just like a movie. Like, you
Yeah.
might as well take a course in, how to maneuver in Hollywood, because
It's
it's
screenwriting. A screenwriting
exactly
course would probably help you better than a
right.
political
Exactly. Get a
history
degree in
course.
public relations, people, because that'll get you through politics, because that's all it
Mm,
is anymore. And, it's all in maneuvering in probably some of the very manipulative steps of the 48th law. you know.
yeah.
Um,
And uh, I would honestly say, if any, like, all it would take would be someone to come out and be unapologetically themselves,
Hmm.
and they would probably be very successful.
Well, they're saying that's why Trump got the election. He doesn't apologize for being the ass that he is. Sorry, not sorry, but no, he doesn't.
I
And
guess when you think
and
about it,
a
yeah,
little bit more genuine than being disingenuous and fake, like trying to pretend they're the altruistic good in everything. Because that's just against human nature, and
it is.
you know, and also just people were just tired of the same thing, status quo. Like they just
Mm.
need to shake things up. Like
And
I don't
the
know. I don't know if it was really a vote for the person, is it was a vote for it's just got to change. Like I seriously think that that's basically how most votes go these days.
I would agree. I honestly think a lot of the votes were just came down to screw it. Let's flip the table.
Yeah.
And let's burn it down to see something else grow.
Or even just like there's got to be something better than what's been happening. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's like, and just pull the plug and just like, well, we'll give it a shot. And it's not
Mm.
like, so even when you ask for people why did they vote, they're not even voting for certain policies or anything. They were just
No.
voting for the way he moved in the world.
Mm.
Unapologetically willing to dismantle, not giving a shit about how things are run and just doing it his way. It's just like, oh damn, well, they didn't realize there's a lot of that was like breaking laws and shit like that. They don't really care about any of that anyway. Oh.
No. Mm.
On that note, here we are doing the 50th law, right? And we're
Mm.
talking about gangsters and people who do things illegal. I mean, basically, this whole book was full of like 50 Cent, like breaking the law to get ahead, like every
Yeah,
chance he got
exactly.
and not get caught. And then I'm thinking, and then I go from this, and I'm a CoffeeZilla fan, right? Because he does
Mm.
finance and investigation. He tries to get the people that are scamming people and everything. And I love the way he does his research and all. Plus, he does it in such a very entertaining way. Like he's very theatrical about it. I love it.
Absolutely.
Well,
And that $10 million studio.
well. Anyway, he's got a new campaign for merch. He does merch like different every year for a short period of time.
Mm.
This year, it's crime is legal.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, a
It's
lot of
just like I just like don't be surprised if you get a T-shirt in the mail because like definitely that's what I've been saying. I mean, anybody that follows my true crime lately, if you have seen what the jury's been doing and what
yeah.
people have been thinking, and it's definitely a 2025 vibe where I'm telling you, crime seems to be legal. Okay.
And let's be honest. If you're
Mm-hmm.
committing white collar crimes, it's not you already know you're going to get caught. It's not that the goal isn't to it's not to not get caught. It's to have enough money to pay for the fine once you are caught and still come out looking
Mm-hmm.
pretty.
Yep. Yeah. True. Jean says until you get caught, technically. Exactly. And
Yeah,
I agree with you, Mrs. Cassandra. It does really seem like government in everybody, they're just taking care of themselves and money and stuff like that, and the stuff that they're arguing over. And I do agree, Jean. There's a lot about party lines lately, in people not even thinking about issues or anything. It's just a red or a blue thing. That's why I said I want to see more purple, and it just doesn't
mm,
exist. This is what we're talking about, like about in 2025 about the polarization of society right now. Like it's really
yeah.
that it's really I feel it here in America. I don't know if you feel it there in New Zealand, but it's getting worse here for sure. Um,
Oh, yeah, yeah. And I think, to be honest, I think it's being felt all around the world. I
mhm.
honestly don't. I do think America is just a
Oops.
accelerated view of what is happening around the world.
No, I do. I think we do get looked at that way a lot. You know, um, and I think that here in America, like when I think about this book, and it was written a while ago, but when I think about how it relates to now, because when you brought it to me, that's was my goal, is like how can we apply it to now, how people are so fearful of moving forward in how to navigate the landscape, and what are the actual things in our way right now. And societal volatility was one of them. Global
Mm.
crises everywhere, the polarization of society in itself. Um, One of the other ones that's big right now is like economic uncertainty,
Yeah.
shifting job markets, like not knowing how to maneuver, shrinking and shifting job markets. Where honestly, you have to be more of an entrepreneur. More people are working from home. There are less actual jobs available in certain traditional manners.
Yep.
Things are changing. Rapid,
Absolutely.
yeah, rapid technology change. Adding to
Hmm.
that, with AI, automation, working from home, having to have technical skills that can be transported from thing to thing. It's like a whole different thing now. And
Yeah.
it, just dealing with that, and also just the information overload. Like I know you and I talked about this before. It's a
Yeah.
it's a hot ball topic. I get it, but constant news, social media pressure, keeping up appearances and this and all.
And
These
it,
were the issues for 2025 that
yeah.
when
And
I'm
and
looking. Go ahead.
that is a really good point, because we're we're so pressured to like have some sort of stance on pretty much everything,
Hmm.
to know about pretty much everything. I mean, if you can't simply, more often than not, you can't simply say, "I don't know about that. I don't really care about that,"
Hmm.
or or something along those lines, or you get seen as being, "Oh, so you don't like X, or you don't like Y, oh, so you're against this, or you're against that."
Hmm.
And it's like, we don't have enough time in the world to care about this. Like, I you we need to be able to people just need to be able to be able to focus on what is currently important for them at this point in time. For most people, currently, I mean, just trying to put food on the table is
True.
more important.
True.
And
So, but here's the thing, like what the book taught us though, is that while we're focusing on that, like you don't want to care about the crises all over the world and shit like that, but the intense realism that we need to have. Remember that
mm,
about reality, about the focusing on the reality of the situation. Okay, like
exactly.
in a world where misinformation and hype, all of that is coming at the same time. Seeing things for how they really are without denying it or wishful thinking or wishing, that you thought things were better or just denying what you see. Seeing them for how they really are is a competitive advantage.
Mm,
Absolutely. Like anybody who faces the facts head on allows you to adapt faster and make better decisions because you actually have the real deal of what the situation. So you need all of this that's going on, and it's not that you have to care, like you said, like you can't sit there and act like you can make a difference about it or you can change it, but you have to be able to say it is what it is. You have to know what it is. But uh, to get back on that, that kind of brings me to like what was our least favorite like chapters of the book, because like we both discuss our maybe not favorite, but the one that actually stuck with us the most or we got the most out of. Yours was 8, mine was 5. Um,
mm.
but which one was the most difficult for you to wrap your head around in, you know,
Um,
that made you the most uncomfortable? I know which one mine was. Like, but-
not I not so much hard to wrap my head around, but I do have to admit, the final chapter, chapter 10, Confront Your
yeah,
Mortality,
yeah,
is it hits different. It really does. Um,
That's so
it's
funny because that's mine too. I think,
yeah.
yeah, I think we both for different reasons. So I want to hear yours. So, like,
Well, mine was because like um, I guess for the longest time I really haven't sat down and gone and actually thought how much time do I have left.
it's a
It's not.
procrastinator's nightmare, is it not?
Yeah.
And no
I mean,
offense, coming from
I,
your generation, it must have been hard to deal with that if you're going to be sitting on your butt, like it's the balance of why should I bother? It's not going to make a difference. Towards there's not that much time left in the world. Like I got to do something, like
mm,
and just dealing with that, right?
it's like
Yeah.
what do I do? And like
Hmm.
what is the ultimate what is my ultimate goal in in the short time that I have? And like what is going to what am how what's going to make me feel fulfilled
Hmm.
once I have to knock on that door.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was at with it. Being a woman of a certain age, it was an uncomfortable subject, very uncomfortable subject. But it made me reflect on the things I've already done in my life and whether if that is my final signature, if it's what I want to write and sign, and
Mm,
if that is what people will be thinking of me and like of what I've accomplished, like was it what I set out to do? And
mm,
I had to say, in most cases, I was pretty proud of most of it. There were things like, we all have things that we wish didn't happen or we didn't do or we wish we did differently. But as a
mm,
total picture, I was okay, pleased with it. But then I realized I'm not done yet. That all of those goals have changed. That my new outlook, I've changed and grown so much over these years that I now have new ambitions and new goals and new things I want to be known for. Do you know
mhm.
what I mean? Like I'm not ready to write those words on the tombstone yet because I don't know what they are. And so
No.
like it made me like really address where I'm going right now in making sure that like I'm still proud of the things that I do, and I'm giving 100% to what I want to accomplish. And
Mm,
I'm not just sitting. Like I realized I'm not sitting on my butt like I'm done yet. You know what I mean?
no.
Yeah, it's just like I took a look back and I was shocked at how much I've changed and how much my
Mhm.
focus has changed in my direction, So it was eye-opening and it was very uncomfortable. Very
Mm.
it's like getting flayed, having your skin peeled off in public. It was
Yeah,
not
exactly.
it was,
Ex
it was yeah.
except you're the one having it
But you're
you're
doing it
doing
to
it to
yourself.
yourself whilst you're watching yourself do it.
Exactly. It's just like, yes, it's like who's on first, but like not so funny. Like
Mm.
just yeah, yeah, no, seriously. Um and I was surprised that a book like this actually had me thinking like that, like
Yeah,
I'm
I was
yeah.
genuinely surprised that like I I was not expecting it to like I figured I kind of knew that the last chapter had to be something along the lines of confronting death or something like that because it that is a very common trope
Mhm.
in um in these kinds of books. Not that it's a self-help book, but in in books or in self-improvement fields of
Mhm.
like thinking about death and stuff like that. But they generally touch on it in a really sort of bland, like, oh, you're gonna die one day, you don't want to just sit around doing nothing because you're gonna die one day. And it's like, well, yeah, yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
But the way that it sort of put it in the 50th law really kind of made you go, actually, yeah.
Yeah, because it deals with fear in itself. Like you said, it like when you mentioned like being a self-help book, that was one of the questions that we got. Like, you know, it was I actually changed the question. I looked for the answer in Robert Greene's interviews, right? The question
Mm.
was, Claire, why are you doing a self-help book? And it was like, no. So I changed it to, is the 50th law just another self-help book? Because in a way, a lot of people think that it is, but Robert Greene has a different opinion of it. Like, he's like, well, yeah, but no, it's more a strategy manual for your mindset.
Yeah,
It, it it has history, business, survival, not cliches, not like quotes on like, do the right thing and all that other stuff. It's based on history in real business technique, in survival techniques in human nature. He uses science along with history to prove his points, and we saw that over and over. It it doesn't tell you to feel good. It tells
mm,
you it tells you how to use fear as a fuel in
mm,
act with clarity and presence in a chaotic world. It, it,
exactly.
how to fine tune your focus and your vision. How to basically, we've been talking about it the whole time, conquering fear. It's about moving fearlessness, but it doesn't really eliminate fear. It shows you
No,
how to control the fear that we all are born with. We're born with, because fear is that survival instinct. It's that fight or flight that we're all born with. Like, that's human nature. We're born with it from the start. Fear is ingrained in us from the beginning. And
absolutely.
so it's just how to navigate it, how to use it to your advantage instead, and how to recognize it. Instead of being controlled, because if you don't recognize it, you're controlled by it.
Mm, absolutely. And it,
Because it's very useful when fear is consciousness. Like, when you understand the fear, or you're feeling the fear, you can then control it. Like, but when you're not aware of it, it's like paralysis. It stops you from doing anything, right?
mm,
Well,
and that's the thing is like, it's very easy to put yourself into a position where you've tried to ignore the fear so much that you don't even know that it's there
mm-hmm,
and how much of an effect it's actually having on you. It's eh, like unintentionally, subconsciously having an effect on you without, and it could it it can be it is worse in many ways that to not acknowledge it and to not
right. Well, that's what 50 said. Like, over and
mm,
over again, fear was the motivator. Like, the environment that he came out of, which was entrenched with fear, like life and death situations constantly. Like, you can't even imagine being. I could not imagine being in that kind of situation all the time. Well, it was understanding the mastery of that fear, because our greatest obstacles to achieving success in anything we want to do isn't like competition or failure at it, but our own hesitation, letting the
mm,
fear letting the fear stop us, letting the fear prevent us from moving forward, or checking something out, or even thinking we can do something.
mhm,
This book, and the purpose of the book, from what Robert Greene and both 50 Cents has said, is to show you the like fearlessness, like moving to actually conquer fear, and not fearlessness into the point where fear doesn't exist, but just acknowledging that the fear is there and mastering it. Like, it's a
mm,
it is a learnable mindset that can
making
empower
fear
you.
your friend.
Right. It's a learnable mindset, and you can get control of it, so that you're more empowered for your creativity, strategy, like just living your best life. Look, regardless
Mm,
what it is, it doesn't have to be in business. Like, it's not a map for like 101 on how to succeed in the world or make lots of money. It's how to achieve whatever your goal is. If that goal is having the best vegetable garden or living a nice, quiet, peaceful life, it still applies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's simple to grand. It still
Mm.
applies across the board because that way. And I found that intriguing because like the book gets a lot of negativity about it. Like
Yeah.
mostly because we talk about a lot of illegal stuff as if it's okay. And I think
Mm.
we spent a lot of time discussing that going it's not okay, you shouldn't rob people, deal drugs, or steal from your best friends.
No.
It's not good to take advantage of people this way, but you can understand that he was using it as an example of opportunity, of looking at a situation and using it to his advantage, and things like that. You could take a little kernel of good out of there, but
Mm.
because like Green keeps saying over and over again, it's descriptive, not prescriptive. In other words, he's not telling us to do it like this.
Yeah.
He's describing how it would work, or in a visual. Okay, and using examples from 50s life, because he found it interesting.
Mm.
Because like he wrote the 48 laws while dealing with Hollywood, and then he met 50 and realized that the music industry was 10 times worse
Mhm.
in
Oh
with
yeah.
him. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and so he had to do another chapter. Like he had to do the 50, he had
Mm.
to do another law based on how 50 did it. And like,
Yeah.
love him or hate him, like 50 is just genuine. I don't think I would want to move in the world the way he does. I don't think I have the strength to do it. But
No.
in I wouldn't make some of the decisions he made, obviously, but I can take the lessons from why he did it and how he did it, and how what he's actually meaning as he's going through it and doing it. You know,
That's
especially when it got to the part where he actually got into the music industry, and he was just
mm.
learning all the different parts. Like just
And
talking to everybody and learning every aspect of it before he decided, well, I don't need any of you people. I'm just going to go do it on my own. Bye.
mm.
I'm
And
genius.
I,
Yeah.
yeah, and I like the fact that it also pointed out that it's it didn't say it directly, but it suggested that it is very common for when people get even just somewhat close to their goals, um, there's the tendency to relax a bit more. But when really you should, instead of treating it as like the end point, which seems to be what a lot of, in this case, rappers did, was as soon as they got signed, they let up. They
Hmm.
started relaxing and resting on their laurels. Um, the book kind of pointed out, hey, this isn't that's not the end point. That's not your end goal. That's just the beginning.
Exactly.
You're only just getting started at that point.
Mm. Well,
Like you
also about the always changing too. You can't be stagnant about anything. You've
mm,
got to always be learning and growing and taking in information around you and looking for trends. Just because one thing works doesn't mean it's going to work forever. In
exactly.
we always hear about businesses dying out just because they didn't take advantage of new trends and pro, because the world is ever changing all the time. Like there's
Absolutely.
different, like, somebody opens up a factory in a foreign country and it does change things everywhere depending on how they
Mhm.
do things. And you got to keep your pulse on the relevant things related to what you want to accomplish, uh in not being afraid to change yourself.
Yeah.
um you know we're always changing. I mean, that was another part of the book that
Mm,
helped me understand that it's not wrong to evolve and change based on all the different circles that you move in. There's more information, it's more lessons, it's learning, it's growing, and of course you should be changing,
mm,
because you know you still have your, I don't mean like throw away your convictions, your beliefs and stuff like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just changing in growth and moving
yeah.
forward in your outlook on certain things and absorbing everything around you. You know, I used to say this a lot. I used to always have a hashtag read the room. Um,
Mm,
I was in a group at one time, and like it went a little viral at one time when I said it to a big YouTuber who was just being a jerk, and I was
Hmm.
modding at the time. And it really is something that is part of this book. I mean, reading that room, knowing what's going on all around you, being aware of the reality of the situation and how you're being perceived, and
Hmm.
your own actions in the situation, your own movements in the environment. It's really important. That was one of the more consistent messages that I saw almost in every chapter, because 50 would, in telling his story, Robert Greene was telling us how 50 was quite aware of everything he was doing at every all aspects of it, and then tried to explain to us why he was doing it the way he did it, and what the purpose of it was.
Yeah.
Not
And
condoning it, not saying it's the right thing to do, but helping us
mm,
understand that process, on why he became successful because of it. Because when you think about it, um, he is quite successful, and people are doing business deals with him all the time, and he's getting, he did, even in Hollywood he did Power. He's an executive
yep.
producer. He has acting jobs. He's still producing music. He has all these side businesses for water and God knows what else, like all kinds of stuff. And yet people know he was a criminal who would
Mm,
would kill you, cut you, and stomp on you rather than listen to your BS. Like, I'm just,
absolutely.
so, like, there has to be something to it because he's unapologetic about it. Like, yeah, he's not condoning that you do it that way, but he owns up to it. He went to jail. He served his time. He did what he had to do for it. And he took the lessons anyway. That it's a hard life. This is what I have to do, and I'm gonna I'm gonna use that to my advantage. That
Mm,
that need to survive and that wanting to get ahead. Like, I'm gonna do it no matter what. And just put it out for us that, like, it's not like a map on how to do it, but it's just that
no.
it's more a map of it can be done. And
And it's
yeah,
and y- how do I put it? Not not the illegal part, but doing it is okay to do um to move in the world that way um appropriately,
appropriately and yet unapologetically.
yet unapologetically, yeah.
Like
Like
it's
obviously
almost
not
like he's so
not committing the crimes, would never want you to
right.
commit the crimes,
No,
but like if if that's what you're gonna do, then
then do it.
do
Yeah,
it unapologetically and
honestly and out in the open, and, like,
and
yeah, be it.
take
Yeah,
responsibility for it.
which he did.
Don't yeah.
Yeah. But when I think about it, I think about, like, 50 Cent is the walking embodiment of why not.
Mm,
Like, in other words, like, he doesn't have, like, he's in Queens. They're poor, no parents, living at his grandmother's, not wanting to burden his grandmother with, like, too much, with all the things that he wants. Like, and it is just like, well, somebody else has it, why not me? Like, why can't
mm,
I? Why can't I get this? Why can't I have this? Like, um and I found that empowering. Like, here he is with nothing, absolutely nothing. And
yep.
you know what? It's not like he's gifted in any way. Would you?
No,
I mean, and I'm not,
that's
listen, I'm not speaking bad about 50. I'm not a fool. I don't want to get punched out. I get it. I'm not. But, like, he does not come off as the most, he's not book learned. He's not, he doesn't even be able to command speaking in a room where people pay attention. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't, like, the communication
mm,
skills. I know you'll go back at me about that because he's a rapper and he gets his story out there, but he's not a great communicator. He's not a great thinker. What he is just more about figuring stuff out and paying attention, and it's quite it's really impressive.
mm,
that he actually has a great eye for everything that's going on. He takes great notes, he listens, he learns. Okay. He is the epitome of why not can you do it. You don't need all of, you don't have to be born with like a high IQ or some special gift to be able to achieve anything in this world.
No.
What you need is ambition, determination, and a plan on how to do it, which
Mhm.
is what he showed us. Like that's
And
what
a
I found.
willingness to do it.
Right. And to do the work. That's
Mm.
what he showed us over and over again. Yeah, there are people that you feel things were handed to in this world and they're not doing what you would do with it or whatever, but they got their own problems with all of that. Like nothing
Mhm.
is the way it seems, you know. Like we all envy the rich, you know, the famous and this and that. That all comes with its own set of problems that we know nothing about,
Absolutely.
you know. And um we see it over and over in shows on TV how they're so miserable, this and that. Their fathers think they're worthless, you know. The women have no self-worth, you know, all of that. Like they got their stuff too, you know. It ain't all perfect, you know. They just do it in better clothes and fancier meals and shit in different locations. Like, but
They
it's
cry in
pretty,
Ferraris.
they cry in Ferraris, you know, like but you cracking me up. Well, but definitely that was inspiring for me because like he's not condoning how he did it. He's just giving us the possibility that you can. And you don't need anything special to do it except for determination in wanting to do the hard work because it's
And
going to be
like
different
Mrs.
for
C said, to
everybody.
be the ultimate troll.
Yes. Okay. He is pretty good. Did you see him did you see him congratulating Diddy on his
I
yeah,
I
oh my
hope
god.
his documentary still comes out. I really,
I think it
really,
will. I think it will.
really wanna
Yeah,
see it.
yeah, yeah. It definitely he is, you know. No, Mrs. Cassandra, you're going to protect me from 50, right? Like you got an in with him, like you and he are buddies, right? Like so I'm not saying anything bad about him. I admire what he was able to accomplish. I really do. Um, I'm
Mm.
just saying, like he just proved that you don't have to have like a silver spoon to get ahead in this world. Like it doesn't have to get
No.
handed to you. You can get it anyway, and you
Mm.
know, everything comes with its different balances. Hey, Mippet and Shill, it's good to see you. Oh, but yeah, I don't know. What is your big takeaway from the book, if you don't mind me asking? I know I'm just throwing it at you.
I think I've said it a few times throughout our streams, but accountability. Being accountable for your own actions and the way that you react and move around the situations that happen,
Mhm,
and actually uh taking everything in as as if it is you, as if like
mhm,
what is happening is completely under your control in a way.
mhm, mhm,
um and I think that's something that is not um not done very much anymore. It seems like very few people want to take accountability for what they're doing. And in fact, um I've noticed that a lot of these people that want to act out and act
mhm.
crazy are really don't want to take accountability for their actions. And
No,
when there's repercussions for their actions, they
they're just crying about it.
they
Yeah,
just cry about it. Yeah.
there's so many situations on the socials that we could go into that. But those that follow me know that account. Like you know, I got goosebumps when he said that word, right? Because it's one of my favorite words, accountability. You hear it a lot around here. Right.
Mm.
I know my mods are all going, oh, there she's going to go. She's going to get on a soapbox now because he said the magic word.
Mm,
Accountability is the issue to all compromise, in all understanding, in all the difference between being genuine and ingenuous is
mm,
accountability. And I believe that strongly. I think it's something that we still need out here on the socials a lot more. We all don't do the right thing all the time. Nobody lives in a perfect house. We all make mistakes and everything. But accountability for how we move in the world is really, really important. And
mm.
it was a good message in there, a very
So,
strong message.
and one other thing that I noticed, because I'm gonna say it. I actually woke up this morning and I read through the entire book again.
I've created a monster.
Before
Y'all hear
before
that? Like
before the
this is like
stream, I
this is like
straight up
oh,
went back to back,
now admit this
non-stop.
is like the fourth time that you read the book, right? Right? At least four
Um,
times through, if not
y-
more.
I
And
yeah,
when we first talked about doing this stream, what was the first thing you made fun of me for?
you. To be fair, you had read the book 4 times before we even met for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Right, but like you now look at you reading stuff over and over again, because each time you read it you take something different away, don't you? Like you
Mm,
can't, like something like this, you can't, like, that you want to speak on and you want to understand, you don't just give it one pass, because
no,
we change. Like that first pass changed you, right?
yeah,
And so then you read it the second time with the change, and then something else starts popping out to you in a different way. And that's how it
mm-hmm,
builds, change after change after change. And so this is why I read things multiple times. Like I just found that yes, Jin, Rekkr's reading. I know,
yeah,
I know. And he's from that generation, Jin. I know you hear me, Jin. I know, and I'm sorry I'm making fun of you, Rick. But it is true. Like your generation would really
no, no, it's true.
not
It
want
is
to read
absolutely true.
anything. And so like I get goosebumps when you say, like, oh my god, you're two of my favorite words, like accountability and reading in the same damn stream. Like, did I go to heaven or what?
Mm,
What's going, like,
yeah,
it's Nirvana. It's Nirvana on clear view right now.
but yeah, the other thing that I picked up from the book was to do things deliberately, like have a
With
do
intention.
things with
Yes.
intention.
Yes.
Um, I eh, I think if people actually took the time to, and I'm 100%. I'm talking about myself here as well.
Hmm.
I honestly think that people don't take enough time to actually um comprehend what their decisions are going to be.
Hmm.
And I know for myself, I have a bad habit of doing things mindlessly. And in fact, it's almost doing something mindlessly is almost as bad as not doing it. It is to be no, actually, I would say doing something mindlessly is worse than not doing it at all,
Exactly.
because
No direction,
you
no plan, yeah, no
the
thought.
here's
Yeah.
the thing that happens when you do something mindlessly. You even though you might not have memorized it, and you realize that you know that you haven't really memorized it, or you
Hmm.
haven't internalized what you've done, you still can say to yourself that you have gone over something, or that you did something in some way, shape, or form. So when you realize that you haven't done what you need to do, or I'm just using learning in this case because it's something that's easy to pick out, to do, that should be done with intention and deliberately. um when you go back and you realize that you haven't learned it properly, there's that feeling of, but I've gone through this before. I've done it before. I don't really want to do it again. Do I really have to do it again? And that's, I honestly think that's more dangerous than just not doing it.
Mm,
Because if you don't do it, then you're going to you have to say to yourself, I still haven't read this, or I still haven't done this.
mm-hmm.
Oh dear.
Oh
There's
dear.
a Yeah, there's a higher level of accountability when, if you haven't done it, then if you have, you lose a lot of the accountability. If you do it mindlessly.
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely. Yeah. No, you have to do it with intention and with
Mm,
consciousness, and that was like you said, that's a main theme throughout the whole book, is with intention, with actual mindfulness, um, just getting control of the situation, knowing what the situation is, like they say, the reality of it, you know, uh,
absolutely.
absolutely paying attention to what's going on,
Mm,
all around us, but. I have to say, like in the beginning, I was hesitant. Like I wanted to do this because I wanted to relate it to. I think fear holds us back. When I learned that, I read the first like preface of it, like what the book was about, and it was about conquering fear, or actually mastering our own inert fear that we all have, into helping control. I was looking at 2025 and even how I progressed through 2020. Let's say since the big C-19, okay,
mm,
how we've all developed much more anxiety in the world. And like,
mm,
I know that some people don't agree with me, but I do think that anxiety itself has increased throughout the whole world. After that, the fact that something like that could happen worldwide, and we were all stuck in our own little rooms by
mm-hmm,
ourselves, without, and the world changed overnight for so many of us. Like it did, and it was something that we all had to get through together, but separate. Do you know what I mean? Like
mm,
it's happening to all of us, but it's happening individually, and you can't even relate to other people with it. You know what I mean? And just that kind of increased my fear in the world, the way I move through the world when that
mm,
happened. And I think it did for a lot of people. And so
absolutely.
when you propose doing this book, that was one of the main things, learning how to actually conquer that, to get control of that feeling again. And then the book did show that that's a mindset, and we are able to control it, and there are steps that you can take to bring it back in under control and not feel so out of control all the time anymore, or at the whim of what's going on,
Mm,
being pushed around, you know, because sometimes we don't have any control over a situation, but recognizing that helps us deal with it. And that was the
mm,
biggest thing I took away, that you can't fix every problem. You can't solve every situation, and you're not always going to win. But recognizing the situation gives you great control over how you deal with it, you know, and how you can accept it or move forward, or alter your plans.
exactly.
Yeah. You had to go to the office during the whole thing, Jin? Wow. You're one of the few, you know? Yeah.
Mm,
Um, yeah. Yeah. So many of us like didn't, yeah. Well, I hear you, Mrs. Cassandra. Anxiety is a rough cookie. It really is. And uh, uh, just this book actually gave me more empowerment in how to deal with it. It helped me
mm,
recognize it on different levels a little bit better. Yeah. So, I'm happy that you brought this to us, but I think they kind of have an idea of what we'll be doing next, since we already brought it up a few times. But
yeah.
have since we've been talking throughout the 50th law about the 48 laws. Oh, well, yeah, we just foolishly decided that we're going to try to reinvent that one too, and
Yep.
try to take some of the negativity of that book away and give Robert Greene his props for it. Like, yeah, I know it's a big pill to swallow, but we're going to try. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
We're
That
going to try.
it's gonna be 48 weeks essentially of,
Yeah. Oh my God, that's almost a whole. That's almost a
yep,
whole year.
nearly
Oh,
an entire year.
I gotta spend another year with you. I don't know. Like I
Yep.
gotta. I don't know.
Yeah, you're stuck with me doing this.
Oh my goodness. I don't know, guys, but basically our Saturdays are booked for the next year with this one.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know. Are we starting that next week? Or are we gonna take a week off and then do it? I don't know.
I think we should take a little bit of a break first. Let
Yeah.
everyone digest the whole 50th
You know.
law
All
a bit
it,
more, and then we'll dig
I'll tell
into the 48.
I'll tell you, it's pretty popular because I got a lot of messages when we weren't live on those Saturdays. Like, what's wrong? Where are you guys? Like, they got used
Oh,
to it. Yeah, yeah. So I don't think we should take too long a break. So,
no. Fair
but
enough.
but yeah. So we'll be finishing this sometime in 2026. But we'll be doing
Mm,
it on Saturdays at 6 o'clock, just like now. But on that, are there any questions that you guys have with us about the book, for either one of us, about the book in general, or about what we're gonna do next? Um,
mm.
kind of
Or
trying to
any
stay
books that
on
you might
topic.
want us to look at
Oh,
for after the
I don't
48
know.
laws.
Yeah,
If
next year,
if if
sometime
Claire
in
hasn't killed me
2026.
yet.
Yeah, why would I do that? Like I think we handled this well, even though sometimes we have different opinions. I think um
No, we have. We have.
hmm, I like these. Oh, thank you, Shill. She said, I love the cards you made for the book. It made it so easy to follow the book, and I appreciate you, Claire and Rekkr. Thank you.
Thank you
Because I
so
was, I
much.
was, one, I was going to, talk to Rekkr about that if he thought that that was a good idea to do with the
Mm,
48th too. I'll tell you, making those cards actually made it easier for me to drill down on the points that Robert Greene and 50 Cent were trying to make, so that we didn't miss
mm.
it. And then I always wanted to pull it back to now too, like how it affects us now in today's environment, and how it's pretty ageless.
It
um
is.
yeah, if you look at it the right way, like I said, I really wanted to give it a more positive spin, and I think we did. I think we did. And I think we
I agree.
convinced YouTube too, because they finally stopped holding the videos. Like, they get tired of my emails, and they finally just saw that we were really trying to put a positive spin, and that maybe there were negative things we had to talk about, but we always pulled it out positive, and we weren't actually instructing people to do anything in a negative way or anything
No,
like that. Like,
we're
so
not. We're
yeah,
not teaching people to move weight.
yeah, no, like no, no. And so, like, it finally now, and then after that, you know what the funny thing is? After they stopped holding the 50th law, then they started holding all of my true crime.
Really?
Yes, really.
They're just gonna
Yeah.
get you with something.
That's why do you think I'm on three platforms now? Like, I gotta move. I gotta move. Yeah. I needed some breathing room. I needed to feel like they didn't have total control of me. That's what the 50th law taught me. YouTube does not have total control of me or my content. Like, I have
Hmm.
options. Like, there you go. Yeah, it was a great ride. It was a great ride. Thank you for the journey. Thank you so much.
Mm. Glad we could bring you all along.
Oh, thanks. That's cool.
I'm glad so many people.
Yeah.
I'm actually I'm genuinely impressed that the series has done so well.
Yeah.
I I I had come to Claire to do this just it was just an idea. It was really just like I thought about it. I just like I just thought, hey, what if we did something um more uh like analyzing something that might be thought of as, negative in some respects, but might actually have some use.
Mm-hmm.
It in a way, um, it's it. I guess in a way, it was like the idea of learning the other side's opinion. Like like looking from the perspective of someone else to better reaffirm your own stance or our own stance.
Mm-hmm.
And this it I'm really pleased that people rode with it.
They did. We get a lot of views post, and we get, I get a lot of comments. I get a lot of emails in my actual channel email about it.
Mm,
We've developed quite a few different people looking at it, and it seems like our library members and those that follow us regularly enjoyed it also. It was a little bit different, but those that have been following me since I started my channel I love having the discussions about things, in general. Even I can talk about anything, but to have a subject that was so broad and so almost controversial just by the
mm,
title of the book, you know, because
mm,
basically YouTube held all the videos just based on the title of the book, the
yeah.
first couple, you know. And Jin, you're right. A human did finally watch one of them and started to release everything, um, which was, which was impressive. But it took a lot to get them to actually look at it, you know.
Mm,
Um, and for me, it was a great ride, because like
mm,
having active conversation about a subject that I think is beneficial for others, and I think actually learning to get our power back is something that I've been talking about for at least a year or two, on a struggle that I went through out here, in letting other people take that away from me. And it
and
was one of the reasons I wanted to cover this, because the whole book is a lesson in not letting that happen,
taking
and
it back in a healthy way,
in a
not
healthy way,
feeling
not fear.
not feeling like not feeling like we have to do it like give me my power back and screw you all. It's more just like, yeah, that's it's just
The
who it is what it is. I'm taking it back.
mhm, exactly. In that, owning your own power doesn't mean you have to use it on somebody else to have it. Like
No.
being, like that I learned. Like that was something, like I don't have to react to everything, you know.
Or
No.
you can have an ego and not be a tyrant.
Exactly. Like, being positive or having like good knowledge of yourself and what your strengths are, it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's
Mm,
actually how people move successfully in the world. And, I'm not going to be apologetic about it anymore. It's like,
mm,
the one thing I got a stronger conviction in the fact that I am not what people say I am. I am who I am. It is not
mhm,
up to me to make them understand the difference. Like that's on them.
exactly.
That's on them. It's not my problem. Their lack of understanding. It's not my problem. You know,
Mm,
because I this is how I look at it. Those that want to know are gonna find out if they really want to know. Those that just assume and think they're just, nothing's gonna change them. Like nothing's gonna change them. Like why would I waste my effort? You know. So it's
the it reminds me of the saying, those who mind don't matter and those that matter don't mind.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, that's like, um. But I did. I grew during uh this period of time doing these chapters. Each
Mm,
chapter taught me something or made me look at something a little bit differently, and I loved the challenge of it. And I think the 48th law is going to be an even bigger challenge. And
absolutely.
yes, and you're going to drag me kicking and screaming through it, but we're going to do it. We're going to do
I
it.
think we'll probably end up dragging each other.
Yeah. Well, that's the good thing when you got a team, right?
Mhm.
That you know, it's not a it's good to have the company with it. I'm not going through it alone, and so that's good. And then we've got a whole crowd of people on YouTube going through it with us this time. You know,
Exactly.
yeah. I'm not looking forward to those first emails though that I get. Look, well, we'll see. We'll see.
Oh, those are gonna be fun.
Yeah, yeah. You know. But I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it. Like, but you got a lot going on. You're gonna need to take a break, like, because
Yeah.
not everybody out here on YouTube knows what's up with you lately. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? I mean, I know
Mm,
you talk about it on your channel, but like, you're
mm.
here now. So
Well, I I guess
not
I
exact. Wait a minute. We
mhm.
do not start a conversation after doing the 50th law with "I guess."
Well, so I am going to be well, I have entered a archery competition. Basically, it's not until August. Um, but it's 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 one of the things that I would say I'm
You're pretty,
decent at.
well,
I can hit the target.
Mr. Humble. Okay, let me just interject here a little bit. He's damn good at it, and he knows it. Like, for those of you that don't know the story, the, he's been doing archery for quite some time. In
Mm,
archery, if I may be so bold, is to interject here, Rekkr, was one of the ways he dealt with a condition that actually waylaid him physically. From being a
yes.
very physical person, I mean, anybody that's talked to Rekkr knows he did a lot of stuff in his life. He's always been very physical. He wanted to be a bodybuilder in
Mm,
competitive, in competition and all, and
mm.
then got an injury
And
or an
then,
illness
well,
that kind of
so
laid you flat, right?
yeah,
In Yeah.
basically, I had uh injured myself, and how do I put it? Basically, the way that I injured myself, um, the the doctors essentially kept looking in the wrong place, and they'd been doing that for like the past 13 years.
Mhm.
And and one of the results of the injury um not being properly addressed was that it triggered an autoimmune response
Mhm.
and essentially set off a thing called psoriatic arthritis,
Mhm.
which is psoriasis is it's like an intense eczema. Um, and so I had I wasn't able to really do anything. I
Mhm.
I was,
And
yeah, I was pretty much laid up for an entire year for a while,
right.
and, so a few years l I think maybe, yeah, a few years um, after I had, injured myself, I got given a bow, and I started shooting because it was sort of like the one thing that I could do. I could shoot archery, and I seemed to actually be doing alright at it, so I kept doing it. And,
We did pretty well in competition back in 2020. Like,
yeah,
and
and I got to the point where I'm actually at a pretty competitive level in New Zealand. Not in America. You guys are you guys are you guys are built different. You guys are just you guys are just built different. But, but yeah, and, so it's archery has sort of become the thing that has helped me along a lot in the physical sense because it's given me something that I can really physically focus on that is I'm able to do. It's like I was to toot my own horn a little bit here, but I was incredibly fit, and then I wasn't. Well, not that I wasn't, I just couldn't be.
Mhm.
And, it and so I did take a little bit of a break from archery for the last couple years, but I've been getting back into it at a much more consistent level. And so I decided that I would enter the indoor nationals in New Zealand.
Hmm.
And
That and that's
yeah,
coming up in August, right? Like,
that's
and
coming
that's
up
like,
in August. Yeah.
and that's kind of like a big thing because you're not on a long break from university right now. Because for
No,
those of
I
you that know,
will.
we talk about it all the time. You're also in university studying
Yes,
engineering. So,
electrical engineering. I was
right. So,
originally going to be a master builder, but after the injury, um,
out.
after the
Yeah.
injury, I kind of had to do something that wasn't so physical. Um, but by the way, just so you all know, the good news is I actually managed to get them to find the issue.
Hmm.
I uh, I tore something in my hip, and it caused pain that radiated to my back or something like that, and
Hmm.
it's left a tear there and some kind of cyst that likes to poke my nerves.
I know you're very much like me. You don't want to like
Mm,
expand on like how big it is, but the psoriatic arthritis actually causes an inflammatory response throughout your system. It compromised your
the
immune system. Created other
yeah,
issues throughout all your joints in everywhere that have compounded everything and made it pretty difficult over the last couple of years. You've
mm,
had you've had surgery for your hands even already.
mm,
And the last couple of years just been addressing things one by one as it goes. I'm so happy
yep,
that you're in a position that you can take up like you we've been doing archery behind the scenes for a couple of years now, on and off.
mm,
And it's just the way that you approached it for physical, making yourself physical again and dealing with everything. But it also has a very mental component to it too, you know.
yes, it
Uh,
is very therapeutic in a mental
mhm,
sense. Like,
mhm,
um, you can archery is actually one of the areas where you can do it very mindlessly if you need to, but you can
mhm,
also do it with a lot of deliberate conscious thought. Um, and it's surprisingly hard to do it with conscious thought
mhm,
because it is very repetitive, but it's very meditative in a way.
mhm. Well, it does give you good control over your body and your core,
Mm,
and then just your focus. Like, I know you. It always does you good if you do that before you have to do all these other things you don't want to do, like study. So,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, just knowing you personally, I could see the advantage that it gives
mm,
you. But the reason we bring it up is that being a university student, of course, the budget is pretty tight. So in order to go to competition, which happens to be hours and hours away from where he lives, and
I
he's
think
gonna
it's
have to
like a
travel.
7 hour drive.
Yeah, so he's Rekkr's fundraising on his own channels on Twitch and on Kick, and we set something up in the library, but I'll be posting it on my community tab. But for now, I'm just gonna give you the Kofi link that he set up for his fundraiser. And Mr. Humble won't say it, like, but he doesn't expect anybody to give like outlandishly or anything like that. And
No,
don't
like,
anybody put themselves in a bind. But
please
yeah,
don't.
yeah,
Not for my, not for, not
yeah.
for me. Don't.
No, but like because we're all in the same boat here and there, and
Mm,
he recognizes that. But for any monies that are donated in super chats for the month of July, I'll be sending them to his Kofi, to help support that. Because I really want to see you compete again. I think it's
mm,
um I think it's admirable that you're back doing it again and you make time. It's like something we can all appreciate. You're taking time to do something that's good for you, that gives you a good physical response and a mental response. In it's going to mean something valuable to you, and it can only help in the long run with accomplishing all your other goals. at
Mm,
university and with music, in like, because you do a lot, like you really do a lot.
I do a
So
lot.
yeah, you have a lot of goals, and you are one of those people that actually works on those goals every day. And so,
Mm,
like, I think that needs to be admired. And it's an inspiration, So I'm happy, to contribute any way that we can, uh, to get you there, so
mm.
that you can do that competition. So,
I do
well,
appreciate that. And
yeah,
and I am going to also be putting print I'm going to be making available some of the photos that I've taken as prints, as large prints, or from like A4 to A0 prints. If
that
one,
it's right, because you do photography also, which
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
um,
Can I post your
and
Instagram link then?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Feel free to post my Instagram link. I'm gonna be posting it all there. I'm just sorting. I'm trying to find out like shipping and stuff because I live I live on a small island, so unfortunately things trying to trying to find the cheapest way to do things to make it worth
Hmm.
actually getting is much more difficult.
Right. So you don't have all of the prints up there yet on Instagram, but that
No,
will be
I
where they are. Yeah,
yes.
that's where they're gonna be. I
Yep,
think there's only two up there right now. That angry bird is some, like, the that angry bird is something. I do like
yep.
that one, the angry bird. Um,
I
but
will be yeah.
I can tell you, well, I've seen a lot of the photos, and some of you in the library have too. He's a damn good photographer. He's got a great eye. Like, he really does. I can't even settle on, like, which ones I like the best, you know. So
Mm.
I
Yeah,
know, Jin. That's
Jinx.
why we got to
Jin.
raise up some money so that he's not
Um,
known for that. Like, we don't want him to be known for that. How awful would that be?
that is something
we,
about archery that is really, really kind of weird. Is
mm,
archery is the only sport where doing something, uh, doing doing something successfully can actually be um disheartening. Like for instance, smashing the knocks off an arrow or Robin
yeah.
Hooding an arrow that's already
Hmm.
in the target.
Hmm. Exactly.
Thankfully, I'm shooting multiple different spots. So the indoor, basically, I'll explain what the indoor shoot is going to look like. Um, the indoor shoot is it's basically a how big would that be? It's probably a little bit bigger than a three spot. There's three spots, either one on top of the other on top of the other,
Hmm.
or it's three in like a triangle, and they're just sort of I don't know, maybe through 3/4 of a feet in diameter.
Hmm.
3/4 of a foot in diameter,
Like 4 inches. Yeah.
and you're standing at basically 20 yards away from the target, and you're
Hmm.
aiming for a spot that's about the size of a dime, I think.
Yes,
Um,
in the center of a 4-inch target. Yep.
yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
yep. And basically, you shoot one arrow into each one of those three spots. Thankfully, you're not shooting the same one because so it's out of 300 points, and it is not uncommon in the higher levels of archery for people to get absolutely 300 out of 300. It's there there's some crazy accurate archers out there.
Yeah, well, you've always practiced it like 20 yards, haven't you? Like, you pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
And I've got to say,
For the
you've
longest
had
time.
days. I've sat there for days when we're doing 10 rounds, and like at least 8 of them were 10 out of 10. So like you're not that far off. Like, that's why I'm glad you're competing now, because you have a, you should be. And I know you're very competitive by nature. So just doing archery isn't enough for you. You need that
Yeah.
medal. Yeah, I
I
know.
need to I need to at least be competing.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm happy you'll be doing it, and I do hope people will, send $1 or two or a cup of coffee over there on Kofi, or at
Mm.
least send you some encouraging words and watch your journey,
That
because that would
that
that
there
will be awesome too.
just some encouraging words is more than enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I will make it work no matter what. So yeah.
Well, I think I think it's a good thing. So thank you for letting me embarrass you in public with all of that. Yeah, because like sometimes I
Yeah.
get a notion and it just has to be done. It just has to be done. Yeah. Besides, who says no to the bear, right? Hmm.
Yeah. You could be very
But
persuasive.
yeah, I would say that's one. It's one thing I would have to own up to. I can be very persuasive, and I'm relentless. Like, it's not so
Mhm.
matter of being persuasive. It's just that I don't give up until I get the result I want. It could be a good thing. It could be annoying AF, but it's a good for me. It's a good thing. Like, well, what on that? I
Mm.
I think we're ready to tie it up and put this series to bed with its own little playlist, over there, and look forward to starting a new one soon.
Yes.
Oh, so like
Mhm.
probably like 2 weeks, right? Yeah,
Yeah, 2 weeks,
yeah.
I'd say.
Mm-hmm. And that'll be right here, same day on Saturdays here on this part of the hemisphere at 6 p.m. Or if you're on the other hemisphere where Rekkr is, that
Sunday
would
at
that
10.
would be Sunday at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Mm.
you know. So thank you for getting up, and hanging out with
Sorry.
us like week after week. No, don't
Yeah.
apologize because I know you're still getting over that cold too.
Yes, I
Yeah.
am still getting
Yeah.
over a cold. That's why I've been muting all the time. I just forgot to there.
It's well, I want to thank everybody who came with us from the start to the finish on this journey. And if you're watching this later and you have any questions, don't forget to hit the back of the videos. Just leave a comment. I answer everything. It doesn't matter that we did it this year, next year, or the year after that. I'll still answer you about it. Like, don't
Mhm.
worry. Because that's what we're out here for. Those conversations and the information flow back and forth. So, um, I know the I think it was Shield expressed an interest in the slides that we did for the series. And what I will do is I will make that link available and I will post it in the actual. I'll find a way to make it available and post it on the playlist in the description so that anybody who wants to follow along, like she'll found it very helpful. I think others might too um for later, you know. And so I'll put that in there. I think that would be a good thing. I just had to figure it out. It'll
Mhm.
do it. But you got any last words there, Rekkr, for your big idea? This was your series, by the way. I was just going along for the ride. Yeah.
Um, no, I thank you for taking the taking a chance and doing it with me. I really appreciate that, Claire. Um, and thank you to everyone that joined us along. It's it's been fun. It really has. It's been lots of
Mhm,
fun, and I'm
mhm.
looking forward to doing the 48 laws.
Oh my gosh, it looks like it's an adventure. It
Mhm.
definitely is, and I'm glad we took the shot. It's not something I ever saw myself doing, but I'm really happy I did. And I'm looking forward to
Mhm.
the 48 laws too because it's going to be a challenge. That one
Oh
has
yeah.
even more negativity assigned to it than the
Oh
50
yeah.
law. I mean, did you know that it's the most popular book in prison? Because like
Yes,
all the
it's actually one of
criminals
the
are reading
reasons
it.
why.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
all the criminals are reading it on like how to be a better criminal.
Yep.
I'm like,
I think it was
what?
banned in a few prisons.
I think they finally did. I think they did. Yes, yes, because like it kind of like emboldened people to do the wrong thing. You know,
Mm.
but like Robert Greene said, it is not. prescriptive. It's not like a one-on-one or a 101 on how to do things. It's descriptive on what's being done around you. Like, and
Mm.
I'm going to keep my focus on that. Like, I'm going to keep like, because have you ever seen a picture of Robert Greene?
I think I have.
He is not your average gangster. Just he is not. He is totally not the average gangster. Like totally not. In
Mm.
when we do the 48th law, I will show you. I'll pull up some of the interviews for people, and I'll put some links. I'll
Mm-hmm.
probably put that link in the playlist too in the description, to one of his interviews, so you all can be introduced to the author because he's doing great work. Um, he is a great mind. Like I want to hear more from him actually. His knowledge of history in the way he explains things are very interesting to me. It's very informative. So, all right, everybody. I think that's it for us. We're gonna put this one to bed, right? Mhm.
Yep.
All right. Well,
That's it.
thanks everybody for joining us, and hopefully I'll see you next week, Tuesday, back with True Crime Tuesday, and I don't know what else is up for the week. I mean, true crime's been crazy lately, but definitely read the back of the community uh, posts on the channel for updates on what we'll be doing for the rest of the week. And Rekkr is usually streaming every night now still, or
Yep.
music.
Trying to.
He
Mm.
does his music practice over on Twitch and Kick, and we both would appreciate any follows we get over there. Those are hard little platforms to break into. There's not really a niche for what I do over there, but that's not stopping me. They
Mm.
will make one sooner or later for me. Yes, they will. They will have to, because I'm not going anywhere. But we'll see you all over there, and see you during the week. And thank you for joining us. Don't forget
Yep.
to like, share, subscribe, do those YouTube platformy kind of things, And we'll see you all later.
See you.
Bye.